Ever wonder what really separates the businesses that just kind of get by from the ones that absolutely crush it? Well, today we're diving into Brian Tracy's masterclass to figure that out. We're going to uncover the core principles for building a business that actually works, and it all starts with a surprisingly simple answer from 3 of the smartest people on the planet.
So let's kick things off with a story. Imagine you're at a dinner party, and at this party are Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, and Bill Gates' father. Someone walks up to them and asks a simple question. What is the single most important quality for success? And here's the wild part. According to someone who was there, all 3 of them stopped what they were doing, turned to the person, and without even thinking about it, said the exact same word at the exact same time. Focus. Now, this isn't just some motivational buzzword. It's literally the foundation for everything else we're about to talk about. It is the one thing. Okay, so if focus is the magic word, what are we supposed to be focusing on? Well, Brian Tracy argues that the highest paid, most valuable work you can possibly do is thinking. Why? Because the quality of your thinking is going to directly determine the quality of your life and, more importantly for us today, the quality of your business. So the first step is to apply a mental filter. It's called consequence thinking, and it's a really simple but powerful idea. Successful people are relentless. They focus on stuff that has high potential consequences. Failure, on the other hand, usually comes from getting totally bogged down in tasks that have low or, zero consequences. And this lines up perfectly with the work of Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman. He identified 2 ways our brains work. High consequence decisions, the big stuff, they demand what he calls slow thinking, deliberate, calm, logical thought. And honestly, the biggest mistake entrepreneurs make is using that fast gut reaction thinking for moments that really, really need the slow and steady approach. So that's great in theory, right? But how do we actually do it? How do we make sure we're using that critical, slow thinking when everything's on the line? Well, Tracy gives us a mental toolkit with 3 really powerful tools designed to bring total clarity to those high-stakes decisions. These 3 tools are designed to do very specific things. First, to clear the decks of past mistakes. Second, to manage risk by just getting rid of fear. And third, to identify the single biggest thing holding you back so you can find the fastest way forward. All right, first up is something called zero-based thinking, and it's designed to just cut through all the baggage of decisions you've already made. It forces you to look at where you are right now and ask one brutally honest question. If the answer is no, well, the only question left is, how do I get out? And how fast? I know, this takes a ton of courage, but sticking with a mistake just because you spent a long time making it, that's a surefire recipe for going absolutely nowhere. Okay, tool number 2. This one is basically an antidote to fear and worry. Once you actually define the worst-case scenario and you realize, okay, yeah, I can live with that, the fear just kind of melts away. Your mind gets clear, it gets calm, and then you can focus all your energy on making sure that outcome never happens. The third tool helps you find the single biggest bottleneck between you and your goal. And the huge insight here is that 80% of the things holding you back are internal. It's not the market, it's not your competitors. Nope. Most of the time, it's something inside you or your business. The mark of a superior person is to look inward first. And a lot of the time, that internal constraint is just a single skill. So ask yourself this question. Everyone knows the answer for themselves, but we tend to avoid it because, well, it's hard. But think about it. Most of us are just one skill away from doubling our income. So identify it, focus on it, and master it. Okay, so we've upgraded our thinking, we've got this intense new focus. So where do we apply it? Where does it all go? Well, it starts and ends with the single most important part of your business, and it's probably simpler than you think. Brian Tracy says that a whopping 90% of your success in business doesn't come from your marketing or your sales team, it comes from the quality of your product or service. It's that simple. You just can't advertise your way out of having a mediocre product. Real, sustainable success comes from the thing itself. Tracy tells this fantastic story about a guy named Mitch who owned 3 super successful restaurants. They were always packed, and he spent 0 on advertising. When someone asked him for his secret, he just said, "We always put it on the plate." That was it. He focused all his energy on putting amazing food at good prices on the plate, and he let the product do all the talking. And look, this isn't just some cute story about a restaurant. This is the core principle of hypergrowth. When Inc. magazine studied the 500 fastest growing private companies, you know what they found? The one thing they all had in common was an absolute obsession with quality. In their own way, every single one of them put it on the plate.
So what's the ultimate test of a great product? It's really just a cycle driven by how your customers behave. They buy it, they're so happy with it, they buy it again. They tell their friends about it, and then their friends become your new customers. A great product basically creates its own sales force through word of mouth.
And this is where it all comes together, you see. You have to focus your best, your slowest, your most deliberate thinking on one single mission. Making your product so good, so valuable, and so satisfying that your customers can't help but talk about it.
So the path to building a business that really works is actually pretty clear. First, you upgrade your thinking with these powerful mental tools. Then, you apply that intense focus to creating a product so incredible that your customers become your best salespeople. It all starts with that one word: focus. So the only question left is, what's the single most important, high-consequence area of your business that deserves your focused, deliberate thinking right now?